Details as Inspector General of Police Christian Tete Yohono calls on feuding factions to complement government efforts to restore peace.
All the Ghanaians want to say is that Bawku should be in peace. Bawku should come back to its past glories. For the time when everybody wants to come to Bawku, that glory should come back.
Also, Roads and Highways Minister Kwame Gavin-Sagoja questions decision by the NPP administration, which has led to abandoning the Wahan-Tumu Road project. We have the latest on the state of that road. Also later, as youth unemployment escalates across Africa and emerges as a growing security threat, we'll speak with a UK-based Ghanaian professor to explore bold, practical solutions to tackle this urgent crisis. And later in world news, we'll tell you about an Israeli airstrike which destroyed part of Al-Ali Baptist Hospital, the last fully functional hospital in Gaza City. These and many more coming up shortly. Please stay. Well, this afternoon, calls are intensifying for political actors to stop interfering and fueling the Bawku conflict. Fresh disturbances sparked on Wednesday when a clash between the police and the youth led to the shooting and killing of a civilian. Reprisal attacks from the youth also led to the burning of properties and the assault on some security officers. Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police, Christian Tete Yohono, has wrapped up a 3-day official visit to the community following the incident. We'll hear arguments of some state actors making the calls. But first, let's go live and speak with our correspondent, Albert. Sorry for the very latest. Albert, we understand the IGP has wrapped up his visit to the community. When was it?
So he wrapped up his tour of the region yesterday afternoon. He started on Friday, as you are aware, where he visited the traditional authority of the Kusak traditional area, where he addressed the chiefs. He later also addressed some of the Kusasi youth who, had this latest misunderstanding with the police on Wednesday. He continued that visit yesterday, starting in the morning with a visit to, commiserate with those who were injured in the attacks this week. He visited them in hospital. He also took time to visit some of the police officers in Garu and in Pusiga after he met some of them earlier in Bawku on Friday. Now, he wrapped up that tour later yesterday evening before leaving town.
Right. How would you describe the current state of security in the Bawku township itself?
Things have been calm. The IGP himself, when he was on that tour yesterday, after seeing the injured people in hospital, he came out and he addressed some of the community people who had gathered and some of the leadership of the Kusasi community who were with him. And he actually acknowledged the fact that he was happy seeing that since he arrived on that Friday and talking to the youth, up to that point, there hadn't been any further disturbances. And so things have been generally calm for now.
And you can say the business community is gradually coming back? Is that the situation?
Yes, even on Friday when we were on that tour, we saw that a lot of people had opened their businesses and they were going about their normal activities. It would appear that for the people in Bawku, they have become used to trying to go on with their lives and to run for cover anytime there are disturbances. So usually it doesn't take long for them to recover from any disturbances and try to continue with their normal everyday lives.
Well, thank you so much. Albert Sorry is our correspondent in that part of the country. We'll still keep our eyes on the situation there. Meanwhile, the IGP on Saturday visited some injured persons at the hospital and expressed satisfaction at the calm being restored so far, calling on all feuding factions to complement government efforts to restore absolute peace.
In the market, in the market, Christian market. So this is an assured thing, and we did that yesterday, and today we continue to Bawku, went to the hospital to visit the injured, and still assuring them that we are there with them, and we continue to work together as one people. Having done that, we said we have to come to Kusiga. And then from Kusiga, we'll go to Garuti.
We have been informed that there has been absolute peace throughout the night. We want this to continue. And then the President, the Interior Minister, the Defense Minister, they are all watching and listening carefully. And then at the appropriate time, a delegation will also come to visit Bawku. All the Ghanaians want to say is that Bawku should be in peace. Bawku should come back to its past glories. For the time when everybody wants to come to Bawku, that glory should come back so that we can come back to Bawku and then enjoy the atmosphere that has been there in the past. Thank you very much.
Now, a former member of parliament for 2nd D, Andrew Ejapa-Mensah, is convinced that the interference from politicians is to blame for the never-ending Bawku conflict. He spoke on his file.
I think that the military intervention necessarily is going to be the solution to this problem. The politicians should stay off. And let us work together. I cringe when matters of national importance, matters that border on the security of our country. We know the problems in the Sahel. Perish the thought that any of these leaders in those regions infiltrate and look to exploit the situation in Bawku. But certainly, I'm aware of the politicking that we have sought to exploit for our own expediency when it comes to these matters. And I think that it's about time that we call a spade, get the politicians to stay off. If the military have to go in to maintain some level of peace, so that the mediation that the revered Asante is working on can make progress. I believe that that's the way that we have to go.
Chairman of the Defense and Interior Committee in Parliament, James Agaga, says he is hopeful that the mediation talks started by the Asante-Hene Otumfuo Osei II will bring closure to the years-long feud.
It appears there's no end in sight. Now, the MPP government dealt with the conflict up to a certain point when Otumfuo was engaged to mediate. And we trust in the wisdom of Otumfuo. He's mediated and actually brought finality to very difficult conflicts in this country before. The Dagbang chieftaincy conflict is a classical example.
Many years ago, the Domahine led the process that did what you are talking about, faith, and he concluded everything. But here, this is where we are.
Well, but we don't have to give up. We must not give up. Even in the case of Dagbang, the courts dealt with the matter. Several commissions were set up to bring finality to that particular conflict. It didn't work. But finally, it took the magic of the Otumfuo acting in concert with other renowned chiefs such as the Yagbonwura and the Nairi to bring finality to that particular conflict. So I have hope that with effective mediation, we can find a lasting solution to the conflict in Bawku.
Well, joining me on Zoom now is a senior mediation advisor at the Department of Political Affairs of the United Nations and a former executive director of West Africa Network for Peace Building, Emmanuel Bombardier. Grateful for your time, sir. Would you say the visit by the IGP has been helpful in calming tensions in Bawku?
Good afternoon to you and all your viewers. Very quick correction. I'm a former senior mediation advisor, and I have long left WANEP, and I don't want to be associated because WANEP is an independent, impartial institution.
Right.
And it is important we make that correction.
Thank you so much for that.
Yes. So I'll start off by saying all of Ghana must praise, recognize, and appreciate the leadership of IGP Tete Yohuno. He brought a character of a calming effect that we can see happening throughout the 3 days he has been there. And before I even move from there, go back and ask yourself, when did a public duty bearer stand in front of people and apologize for the missteps that his institution became part of in order to reset a conversation? This man stood at the palace of the Zugran Bawku Naba and apologized to the youth for the missteps of the police. Let's not underrate this. This is a mark of leadership that then defines the character of how you talk about conflict, particularly the one we see in Bawku.
And so how about his impact on the peace process? The fact that he even apologized to the Bawku Naba, for instance. You think this will go a long way to help sustain the peace in that municipality?
His impact is huge. But let's be very, very clear here, and my colleagues on the panel, I'm sure they have their views. He is coordinating a security that has deteriorated as a consequence of political decisions that created the problem. So, number one, let us be throwing mediation as if it was a magic wand. Otunfo Ashantehini can only do what he can do based on the goodwill and the good faith that prevails. But do not forget that Bawku is not a vacuum. I listened to all the political commentaries from your news file. People are dancing around the issue. Let me quickly, in less than 1 minute, on the 15th of February 2023, the then Minister of Information, the Honorable Kojo Opon Nkrumah, issued a statement. I don't want to go through the whole statement, but the import is government federal reiterates that Naba Asigri Abobrago Azoka II is the Bawku Naba, duly gazetted, and a member of the National and Upper East Regional House of Chiefs. So the legal framework recognizes the Bawku Naba. Why have the state, who have the capacity to enforce this recognition, never enforced it? And I could go on, because when Seydou Abagre was sent to Bawku, government issued a press statement following a meeting chaired by the president at that time. And my good friend, when we're talking about government, we're talking about continuity.
Right.
We're not talking about this government and that government. And in that press release, government recognized, because in your earlier statement, which also was corroborated by others, he said Bawku constitutes a national security threat. This is not news. On the 28th of October, after chairing a National Security Council meeting, at that time, our former president, they returned to Bawku, and I'm quoting here, on 24th October 2024, of Mr. Seydou Abagre, who was illegally ensconced as Bawku Naba in February 2023, subsequent to the vacation by the Court of Appeal sitting in Kumasi of the warrant for his arrest, has led to significant disturbances. Right. It then goes to say it constitutes a national security threat. Now, I bring this home to make a very simple argument in response to your question. The IGP can only do what he can do based on the lack of spinelessness politically to enforce the law.
Right.
To make what must be understood as in the whole of Ghana viable. If this happens, Otumfo's arbitration, and I want also to correct, there's a difference between arbitration and mediation.
Right.
When the education minister went to Manshia, Otumfo made it clear he's arbitrating. And it's now on the goodwill of the stakeholders,
right,
with their consent, that can be successful. And let us not try to talk about something that is unreachable as if that is the solution. It is the political spinelessness, the lack of political will, and the language that changes before elections and changes after elections that has made the youth very angry because they have decided that they cannot be used anymore as objects.
Right, right. Thank you so much, Mr. Emmanuel Bombardier, for sharing your thoughts with us here. You've touched on basically the political interference and other issues that government needs to deal with to ensure a lasting peace in Bawku. Now, here in Accra, after a fire tore through a section of Executive Toll Lane late Thursday night, traders of about 15 shops destroyed in Inferno are appealing to the government and relevant authorities for urgent support. My colleague Collins Frimpong reports.
According to some eyewitnesses who spoke to Joy News, the incident occurred between the hours of 12 a.m. and 1 a.m. on Friday. They said that although the fire service could not determine the exact cause of the fire, they suspect it may have been triggered by power outage. Some of the eyewitnesses narrated how the incident unfolded.
About 12:30 to 1. And then we see AP, free son, AP.
We sail here until daybreak. Around midnight, we noticed smoke coming from one of the shops, so we broke in and tried to douse the fire. I witnessed the start of the fire. I suspect the fire was caused by a power outage.
A large problem, the man by.
About 10 to 15 shops have been destroyed due to the fire outbreak that occurred, affecting businesses and traders that sell phone cases, provisions, and other valuable items. Some of the affected traders are pleading with government and other relevant stakeholders to come to their aid. We are pleading with the authorities to come to our aid and provide the necessary measures to prevent future outbreaks. Many people have lost their livelihoods and have been left in tears. I personally know a woman who returned yesterday to weep beside her bed shop because she took a loan.
5,000. They send my bed for us. I want to shop because obey and as I did say, as I could scare Kofaniama, and what did your baby because adding, we are saying.
Even a newborn needs help. So do we, the victims. The government should support us, including the Nigerian nationals who also lost their shops in the fire, so that in case it happens in other countries and affect Ghanaians over there, they will also get the needed support.
Reporting for Joy News, Collins Frimpong, Circle Toll Lane, Accra.
Roads and Highways Minister Kwame Govern-Zagboja has taken on the NPP administration for abandoning the Wahan-Tumu Road project. He said the NDC was close to completing the road before the NPP took over. However, the NPP halted progress and brought in more contractors who delivered little work. The road is now in its worst condition, making travel difficult. Joy News' Upper West correspondent Rafiq Salam en route to Tumu saw women sweeping and winnowing maize spilled onto the road, likely from a moving truck. While there, he unexpectedly encountered Minister Agboja, who pledged to fix the road.
Never in the history of the Wahan-Tumu Road has it ever been in such a deplorable, bumpy, topsy-turvy, and undulating state. Yet, it is a road that the survival of the people depends on. It is a death trap that has claimed several lives and maimed others. The road links 5 districts and municipalities to the Upper West Regional Capital and also connects the twin upper regions together. The west part of the road is located between Ndowala and Kuntulo. It is replete with manholes and gullies that could fill water in a 1,000-liter Syntex water tank.
This road, since the days of yore, has never been good. Governments upon government, since the return to constitutional rule in 1992, has been promising the people of the Sisal Enclave, or that matter, the Upper West region, that they will fix this road, and yet they have failed to deliver. So the road is now worsened. You can see that there are a lot of potholes and a lot of gullies right here. The last time that we were here, we counted as many as 33 of those gullies right here. But today, we saw even some kind of a maize that are poured in here. And we believe that some few days to come, when the rain starts in, we will be trying to harvest maize right on the road.
On our way to Tumu for the annual general meeting of the Sisala Rural Bank, we spotted this handful of women on the middle of the road, sweeping and winning with maize that we suspected may have fell off from a moving truck as a result of the deplorable nature of the road. We alighted from our rented pickup, took pictures and videos of the scene. We set up our cameras for an interview with them. We were bumped into by an unlikely commuter on the road who has the onerous responsibility to fix it. Minister for Roads and Highways, Kwame Governors Abuja.
We just discovered you here. Let the world know that you've got the biggest scoop, the unfortunate situation that happened here. And I want to commend you. The humanity in you made you stop when you saw these ladies. I think the vehicle or whatever was carrying them made them lose their maize. And the traffic, I know, stopped to find out what is going on. And guess what? The person who should fix it, the problem is here. So a combined effort of yours and ours, under the leadership of the president, we shall fix this together.
The Roads and Highways Minister then walked to the women, apologized to them for the pain they are going through.
Joma will do this one. It's not a promise. It's a social contract with the people here. He wanted to do this before he left office, and now he's going to finish it. We are not going to leave this road like another promise. We're going to do it.
The leader of the women, Afisato Hamza, was grateful to the minister for the visit with the hope that his promise will come into fruition.
Your thought about the road is good. We are only praying that you will not deceive us like others have done. May God help you.
Despite the promises made by successive governments to fix this road, they have failed to deliver. Minister for Roads and Highways, Kwame Governors Abuja, blamed the NPP government for failing to deliver. He stated that the NDC government started fixing the road until 2016, when the NPP came to power, truncated the process, awarded it to several contractors, yet failed to deliver.
Proud to the exit of NDC in 2016. Work was going on this stretch. Unfortunately, since we left, they rather introduced more contractors and less work was done. So I can guarantee President Mahama's vision is that under the big push, believe me, this will be done. All the way from Wa to Bolga, this is what people have to endure. Look at the ladies, look at what they are doing. It will obviously, without doing this road, it will increase poverty in the area. So doing this road is not even political. It's just the way to lift the rest of our people out of poverty. If people grow, things around here, how are they even supposed to take it to we, the consumers in the southern part of the country? And yet we complain about the prices. So I think this is a very sad thing. I will encourage you, when you hear, the next time you hear somebody not having asphalt on his road in Accra, tell him that what you need is, if we need to reduce the asphalt so that we can do surface dressing for somebody else. Because asphalt is 3 times the cost of what we need here. We haven't even done anything for these people here.
Reporting for the news, Rafik Salam, Kuntulo.
Well, away from the roads, government is intensifying efforts to boost food security and cut food import by promoting home gardens for vegetables like tomatoes, pepper, and garden eggs. At the launch of the Feed Ghana program in Tichima in the Bono East regional capital, President John Mahama said the initiative also targets institutions, especially senior high schools, to pursue commercial farming. He added that schools with available land will receive support to grow crops and raise livestock. The program aims to boost local agriculture, reduce import, and create sustainable jobs.
In a bold move to tackle food security and transform farming, President John Dramani Mahama
Ghana program, strategic umbrella under which all agricultural projects and interventions will be executed. It is anchored on deliberate actions to increase food production, promote modern farm practices, strengthen infrastructure, and develop agro-industrial zones across the length and breadth of Ghana. We're going to encourage not only households and communities to grow vegetables like tomatoes, pepper, garden eggs, and thereby reducing household food costs and increasing self-reliance, but we're also going to encourage institutions such as senior high schools with available lands to be supported to venture into crop production and livestock farming. And so all our schools that have land available, you are going to use some of that land for agricultural purposes. You grow vegetables to improve the food of the students in their kitchen. You have cows, goats, sheep, so that you can provide meats for our children in school. This will complement the school feeding program and encourage students to view agriculture as a viable career.
Institutional farming is one of the several pillars under the broader Feed Ghana program. Other components include the Grains and Legumes Development Project, Vegetable Development Project, Livestock Development, and the Poultry Industry Revitalization, popularly called Nkuko Nkete, which aims to rejuvenate the entire poultry value chain. President Mahama said the government will also promote backyard poultry to boost household nutrition and support women's income. Through Nkuko Nkete, 55,000 households will be supported to rear over 1 million birds, while 50 farmers will receive backing this year to produce 4 million birds.
The Poultry Industry Revitalization, which is popularly called the Nkuko Nkete program, and I know that the Poultry Farmers Association are very strongly represented here. I've seen my friend Boris B. and his members clapping when I said Nkuko Nkete. Nana Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, Ghana imports almost $400 million worth of chicken every year. This we all must be ashamed of. Our poultry farm to table project, popularly referred to as the Nkuko Nkete program, which is going to be implemented in collaboration with the Poultry Farmers Association, will support hatcheries, feed mills, veterinary services, and poultry processing centers. This year, we're going to register 50 anchor farmers who will be supported to produce 4 million birds, which will be equivalent to 10,000 metric tons of chicken. Additionally, a supplementary program would involve the registration of 55,000 households across this country. And each of these 55,000 households are going to produce 500 birds every year. We believe that this will rear over 1 million birds and thereby improve the incomes of women and their nutrition of their children. The Feed Ghana program
Joining in on Zoom is the former General Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union, GAU. He's actually on phone, Edward Karawe. Thank you for your time here, sir. First of all, I want to pick your impression about this new Feed Ghana initiative. Is it a good initiative?
Yeah, good afternoon to you, and also thank you for the opportunity. I think I have said it time and again that any effort to boost agricultural production must be welcomed, because there is no alternative to producing food. Because there's no alternative to food. And when you have a population or a household that cannot feed itself, certainly there's no other alternative than to find a way of feeding them. So as a country, we are in a crisis state of food situation, in the sense that, but for importation, this country will have faced a famine situation. So the policy of the government to drive agricultural production, and in this case, using the Nkoko Nketekete program, that is using the poultry sector, is a good thing. More importantly, when it is going to save us from spending so much foreign exchange, which we don't have to import poultry products. So generally, the program is a good one, and one cannot say any other thing than to say that it's a good one.
Right. How different will this be from what we've already seen? I mean, the Planting for Food and Jobs initiative by the previous administration, from where you sit as a farmer?
Well, again, policies, you have to move beyond policy intentions to outcomes. As a country, we have dwelled so much on policy intentions, and then we didn't care about the outcomes. But it is the outcomes that will, at the end of the day, vindicate the policy. What is the use of a policy that is good and then it doesn't yield results, or there are no outcomes to show? So the previous policies, on paper, per their concepts and their intentions, they were good policies. But as a country, I think generally speaking, we have a problem when it comes to management. And management will have to do with implementation. So our skills and attitude towards implementation of policies is very poor. And I believe that government would recognize this fact, given our history and given where we have come from, to make sure that we address the implementation challenges that will certainly come. And that is what I think that the government must learn from.
So you reckon that the previous Planting for Food and Job initiative had some challenges. Would you say it failed to hit the objective for which it was carved out as a policy?
Yeah, certainly. I have never shied away from telling government that that policy failed. But when it was failing because of the challenges that it was facing, and we're pointing to government what they could do to rescue the program, they thought we were just against them. But that is not it. But eventually, we have been vindicated, because the policy had two major objectives: to produce enough food for this country and for industry, and then also to create jobs. The program never, achieved either of those two objectives.
Right.
And if it achieves it, this one is verifiable. We don't have food on our shelves. Food prices have gone so high, and it's beyond the reach of people. So how could someone say that the policy actually achieved its objectives when we do not have food on the table?
Right.
Also, it has also led to increased importation of food You know, so the policy fails. And I'm saying that we have all been part of this country, and government has been part of this country. So we cannot afford to make fail this time round, because it will be so much a disaster.
Great. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Edward Karawa, former General Secretary of GAO. Moving on, Member of Parliament for Wa West Superintendent retired Peter Lanchene Tobo has described the youth unemployment situation in the country as challenging, and he said this when he launched a new program in his constituency to address the challenge.
Initiative codenamed The Future Today MP-led Youth Entrepreneurship Fund MLYEF, according to the Member of Parliament for Wa West, Superintendent retired Peter Lanchene Tobo, is a bold step towards empowering the vibrant youth in the constituency. It therefore offers a holistic approach to entrepreneurship, providing interest-free loans, capacity building training, and mentorship to young people with innovative business ideas.
I am excited to tell you that after 4 years representing you in the House of Parliament, I believe that youth unemployment is one of the greatest threats to our national peace and security. As much as I want to know where you want to go, I also believe that many of you are interested in white-collar jobs. You want to sit in the office and work. But I can also assure you, there are many people who have never stepped out of JSS, or they've never gone beyond senior high. They've gotten big organizations, and they are employing people with PhDs and employing people with master's degrees. So I believe that if you have your talent, and that talent is supported or motivated by other people, you can reach your aim in life.
Superintendent retired Peter Lanchene Tobo recalled with nostalgia his past time as a tea seller at Ponyentanga.
Many years ago, when I was a young boy attending secondary school, life was hard. And what I decided to do was to start selling tea in Ponyentanga, my humble village. 6 o'clock, Lanchene's tea is ready. And what I used to do was to ride bicycle from Ponyentanga to Wa to buy bread. And go back. By 6, my tea is ready. I sold tea to support my parents to take care of me through school. The capital that was required to establish this tea business was not much. And when I look at many of you, reviewing your applications, many of you do not need so much to start something. You have very brilliant ideas. All you need is financial support.
Well, unemployment remains a major challenge in Ghana, despite various policy interventions by successive governments and including even MPs. Ahead of the 2024 general election, Afrobarometer and other researchers reported that 41% of Ghanaians saw unemployment as the most urgent issue. Also, Ghana's Statistical Service data showed a 14.7% unemployment rate in the first 3 quarters of 2023, with youth unemployment rising from 1.2 million to over 1.3 million. But what do experts make of the rising trend, and what are the consequences if unemployment remains unaddressed? Let's go on Zoom to speak to Dr. Samuel Kusi. He is the Assistant Professor of Marketing at the University of Bradford, United Kingdom, and also the Head of Branding, Ghana Scholarly Society. Grateful we have you here, sir. We know the issue of unemployment, especially among the youth, is widespread in Africa. As scholars and researchers, what is the conversation around this particular issue, which is threatening the security of the continent?
Thank you very much for having me. Scholars see this as crisis, and we see that it is moved beyond intensive care. So youth unemployment or unemployment in general is no more something we are discussing. Is if someone is in ICU, intensive care unit, and the doctor says there's nothing we can do, then it's gone beyond crisis. And if you sit on crisis level, it's going to explode. So the conversation is not good because you look at the young generation who are coming and you ask yourself, what future do they have? When I was young, I'm not old, but when I was young, you could see a brighter future. I see that government upon government have failed youth, unemployment in general, because all the flagship programs, I see them to be sweet words and promises which are not kept. If you look at the vocational training institutions, how can you have somebody to come on, let's say, construction management program, and they don't go to construction sites? How do you want to build welders if they don't even have the equipment to use? How do you train caterers who are not contemporary? We don't have Michelin stars in the country. And for us not to operate from that perspective, it means that unemployment is still going to be high.
Right.
Now, the flagship program, Planting for Food for Jobs, which was one of the things that was supposed to address this issue, but it didn't live to its expectation, because sometimes when you mix politics with programs, then it comes to not having a national program, but having a political color program, which is very serious and detrimental to the growth of the country. So the discourse in the academic circle is that let's shift away from politics and let's bring about those who are in academia and those who are in industry. So in Ghana Scholarly Society, we're having a conference this year. So we are looking at employment in Africa. We chose not to use the word unemployment because we've heard it enough. Let's move from the talk and let's go to the productivity.
Right, but like you rightly said, the issue has to do with implementation of the policy. You just mentioned that the policies are not right policies, and implementation has been a big challenge. This scholarly association, what kind of advice can you provide to African leaders to rightly implement these policies to create jobs?
Well, what we're trying to do is no more talk, no more titles, professor, doctor, associate professor, enough. Now, how can we bring industry mixed with academia and solve the problem? So imagine if you are driving a car, you are a professor, and you have a problem with your car, you call on a mechanic, and this mechanic is sitting by the roadside. How can we include all of them and give them confidence? And also how we package ourselves is not right. In terms of branding, you can see a nice product in Ghana, but how it is packaged is not nice. So we need to educate the youth to understand, if you have an innovative idea, don't sit and wait for your government or the government of the day, because most of the promises are not kept. So let's look from within and let's look at what we can do. If you have our current research on social enterprise in Ghana, we have phenomenal ladies or women who have employed at least between them 7 and 8 youth. One has employed only 8 women and 1 male. And I asked the question why. They said women have been left behind, so she's also trying to do the best. So I think if we go on, and can you imagine that this lady has come out with an innovative product, lip gloss. She's used honey to do that. How can she not get the support of the government to project this on the international market?
So these are issues, some of the proposals you are putting forward for African governments to look at in terms of addressing the unemployment situation here on the continent. We are grateful for such intervention. We've been speaking to Dr. Samuel Kusi. He's a scholar based in the United Kingdom. You're still watching the Joy Newsroom with me, Carlos Kaloni. We'll take a short break. We'll return with more. Please stay. Welcome back. Now, in business, government to enact the Minerals and Natural Resources Revenue Law to increase revenue from extractive government. The sector. Government has announced plans to enact a new law on the natural resources and mineral finds in the country. This is to enable more revenue to be generated from the sector as Ghana continues to discover new minerals. Chief of Staff at the Office of the Vice President, Alex Segbefia, disclosed this in a speech on behalf of the Vice President during the graduation of 203 cadet officers at the Customs Academy in Petoi in the Volta region.
The move by the government for a new law for the minerals and natural resources sector is aimed at boosting revenue to support national development. This is due to calls from civil society that existing laws on the sector is outdated. Speaking on behalf of the Vice President during the graduation for some 203 cadet officers at the Customs Academy, Chief of Staff at the Office of the Vice President, Alex Segbefia, hinted of plans to enact a new law for natural resources and green minerals to enhance revenue from the sector.
Reviewing and rationalizing port fees to enhance trade competitiveness and maximize revenue. 3. Resuming the restructuring of Ghana Revenue Authority, initiated by the previous NDC government to improve tax administration and compliance. 4. Enacting a Natural Resource Revenue Management Act, NRMA, to increase revenue from our mineral resources, including green minerals and new finds. 5. Reviewing the Petroleum Revenue Management Act 2011, Act 815, to maximize petroleum revenue for development.
He has also assured the Ghana Revenue Authority of government commitment to provide all the needed support to aid in revenue mobilization. According to him, the division has become the lifeblood of the country's revenue mobilization and hence the need to improve in operations.
Government is very committed to equipping the Ghana Revenue Authority to maximize revenue generation, and my presence here this morning is a testament to that effect. I'm reliably informed that the Customs Division is understaffed. Currently, the division has a staff strength of 2,635, as against an established staff requirement of 5,329.
Now, the Ghana Education Service has given a 5-day Easter break to all senior high and technical schools operating the transitional track system. My colleague James Avaji joins me via Zoom with details of a statement from the Ghana Education Service. James, what are the details of the statement?
Well, this is a statement dated April 11, 2025, and it is instructing head teachers to allow students who are in their level 200, their second year now, to go home for the Easter break, and that break starts from April 17, Thursday, April 17, 2025, to Monday, April 21, 2025. Now, the statement again says that this break is, however, optional, where students who are on campus and choose to stay on campus and not go home are allowed to stay, and the head teachers are expected to stay and supervise them as well. Now, those who go home are expected to come back on April 22, 2025 to continue with academic works. And the statement has been signed by the Director in charge of Schools and Instruction at the GES, Mr. Ajiman Dria.
Right. Well, thank you so much, James, for bringing us the details of that statement from the Ghana Education Service. World news, and that's all we have time for here on Joy Newsroom. We have a lot of stories on myjoyonline.com. My name is Carlos Caloni. Thank you so much for watching. The Law is up next with Samson. Please stay.